Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the REDX podcast. My name is Haley Johnson. I'm going to be your host today. We have a very special guest. We have Nicole Espinosa here with us. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Haley.
Good to have you back. For those that have not seen you before, could you just give us a little brief introduction into who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to be back. Active REDX user and love y'all's show and the product that you guys provide. So Nicole Espinosa with the Short Sale Queen. We specialize in, wait for it, short sales all over the country. We are currently in 14 markets, and really, I say short sales, but really just distressed sellers and helping people that are in a financial hardship and creating solutions that normally a traditional real estate agent wouldn't know how to when someone's in foreclosure.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, I think then what we're talking about today is market stuff, like what's going on with the market correction, things like that. And since you work in short sales, I'm sure you know all about that. So I want to get into that. But before we do, I just want to say for everyone that is watching live, if you ever have any questions for Nicole throughout the next 30 minutes, please chat them in wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff. And we'll try to get those answered. Also, feel free to subscribe to our channel so that you're notified every time that we go live, and also subscribe to our podcast list. That's at theredx.com/podcasts. You can put your email in there. Now that that's all over with, let's get into the good stuff. So I want to talk, Nicole, about obviously the buzzwords right now are market crash and recession and all of this, the housing bubble, everything, because for the past couple of years, we've been living in a crazy hot market, hot sellers market, the craziest I've seen since 2008. Really, it's been kind of crazy, and now interest rates are going up. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about is a market crash coming? Is this just a correction? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of indications of, well, first of all, the market's already correcting. So let's just say that.
Yes.
I don't think the market's going to crash. I think that it's a really clickbaity and cool thing to say on YouTube, right? Or like on, their articles to kind of scare people. But ultimately, the market, what's going on now, you can't compare it to 2008 of what you were just saying. Like, we have a completely different type of borrower. We have a completely different lending guideline. Like, there's so many different factors where there's not subprime loans that are hitting the market where anybody with the pulse can get a mortgage. So there's just so many different variables than what happened last time. But the things that are affecting the market now and what we're seeing is less demand. Right. So we're seeing it correct because we're seeing listings now actually last on the market. We're seeing buyers pull back because their purchase power is not there anymore, because that same $300,000 house that they were able to purchase 6 months ago, they no longer can afford it. Because when you have an interest rate that increases that much, I mean, think about it. Think about how, spoiled we've been in the last couple of years where we had 2.5%, 3% interest rates. So when you raise it to 5.25%, 6%, like, that is a huge difference of the same house. And you couple that with prices that are increasing. I mean, you're taking out so many people that can afford a house. So we do have a lot of, hedge funds. We have a lot of people that are buying, but as we see more inventory and we see less demand, that's when we start seeing people having to price their house for less. And we've had so many people that have been spoiled by this market, especially new agents. Like, this always happens. The market's hot, so everybody gets licensed. They're like, oh, I can do this thing called real estate. And then they're like, oh, reality check. We do a lot more than just sticking a house on the market, right?
Right.
So
well, I think that's
definitely saying that.
Yeah, I think that's especially like you just said, agents getting in the past couple of years, getting so many offers on their listing. So they don't even have to you don't even have to take professional photos. You don't have to stage it that well. You don't even have to do an open house, and you're getting way over asking and things like that. And so now with these interest rates, I mean, I've even seen it here in the Utah market, like the cheapest house that you could find that is pretty decent, right, for a first-time home buyer or whatever, is $300,000, $400,000. And people now, I bought a house in October, just barely, and it's my first house, and I got a 2.75 interest rate. Amazing. But if I had waited like 6 more months, my mortgage would be over, it'd be like $1,300 more than it is. So kind of crazy how quick it all happened. But like you've said, like we kind of knew something had to happen, right? Like
Yeah.
things could not have kept going the way that they were, right?
Well, it's not sustainable. I mean, guy, like, listen, what comes up must come down, right?
Mhm.
And the only thing that we need to make sure as professionals is that we're adapting as
Mm,
things change, right?
mm,
That we're making sure that we know how to provide solutions so that we can become valuable to the marketplace. We can become valuable to people that need us. And what a lot of realtors kind of do is stick their head in the sand and they're like, no, the market is great. No, 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 the market is amazing. It's like, okay, great, awesome. You're going to be unemployed in 6 months because you're clueless. Like,
right.
and the other thing that happens, and kind of what I've been talking about, is we are also in a place right now where as things start to shift, you can't price the same way. So you can no longer base it off houses that have sold. You have to look at what's active and what's in real time, what the now the market will demand. Just last week, I saw a listing here locally, and it said motivated seller. It's been on the market for 34 days. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! We're bringing back motivated seller in in the language. This is crazy because it's in
Wow.
Plano. It's in a desirable area that, like you said, 6 7 months ago, people would have even been able to list it. They probably would have already sold it.
Yeah.
So that seller, that listing agent, should have that conversation with that seller, because now it just looks terrible, right? Like, the worst thing you could do is put motivated seller, because now you're going to get all these lowball offers, and the longer
Oh
it stays on
yeah.
the market, the less desirable it is. So we're seeing a lot of that, and it's important that we understand that so we can price the properties correctly and set the client's expectations, because even if you do have prices that go down, you still have buyers that really can't afford it because our income's not increasing. Well, not us, but buyers' income is not going to increase even though the prices and interest rates are.
Mhm.
So at least we're seeing a lot of that right now.
Yeah, well, and I want to talk about something. So someone just commented and said, "Oh, nice job insulting realtors." So I want to talk about this because what we're talking about is how easy it was to sell a house in the past couple of years. Not because, I mean, not all realtors, right, are not putting in the effort and things like that. We're just saying because
Of course
all of
not.
these
Yeah.
offers are coming in, it's like, oh, it was pretty easy. And so I want to talk about that a little bit of like we're not
It's not
insulting
an
realtors.
insult.
Yeah.
If you're taking it that way, then maybe we should reevaluate like how you're running your business. But let's be real, 1% of the realtors do most of the transactions. And the people we're talking about are the people that have come in. They don't take professional photos. They don't understand what it takes to sell the property, and they don't even know their own value. So that's why they're taking discounts on listings, and
Mhm.
they're going to go out the door as quick as they got in. That's who we're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. That's the industry that we're in. And as things progress, the standard has to progress, right?
Yeah.
They don't teach you in real estate school how to sell a home. They teach you
Mhm.
how not to get sued, right? So all of these things you have to learn. Like, you have to self-educate, be in the right company, mentorship, all of that. I mean, it's super important as an agent.
Yeah, and I think and a lot of people are knowledgeable about the market. So I think like people that are staying and listening to this podcast who are trying to learn more about like what's going on in the market and how they can speak to their clients about this stuff because that's what homeowners want to know. They want to know what's going on in the market, especially like right now if they have to sell, then they need to know what's going on with interest rates because they might want to
Right.
be see what their buying power is and things like that. So the more that you know is the better. Obviously, we're just talking about those people that maybe got into the business maybe a little naively, thinking that this is how it always is, which it's not,
Yeah.
right? Markets shift and markets change.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we talk about like on this podcast, we talk about in other things is how to create a business that is not dependent on market conditions because that is it's so important because if your business was just going up and down with the market, that's no way to run a business. It's no way to
It's
provide for
not
your family.
sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So I want to talk a little bit about that, about adapting to the market and creating a business that's not dependent on those market conditions. So let's go there a little bit. What would you
Yeah.
say? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you
So
go.
as a realtor, I think there's a little bit of a lag, so I apologize. But
No.
as a realtor, if you want a business that is sustainable, that is an actual business, because the reality is, if you do not have closings, if you do not have clients, you're unemployed, right? We can all agree on that. So if you don't have consistent business coming in and consistent business closing, the reality, you're not going to be able to stay in this business, which is why most realtors, the first year, get out because they can't afford to keep going. And so in order to build that, you need to specialize. You need to figure out how can you add value by providing a solution to something, to a seller or to a buyer. So for example, it doesn't have to be a niche like short sales. It can be, hey, I'm an expert when it comes to down payment assistance and being creative, working with certain lenders so that you can, be able to get more money out of this, or working with veterans and helping them relocate and really becoming a full service to take that stress off of them. I mean, it literally could be anything, but it's something that makes you stand out, where you're not just a real estate agent. And where most realtors fail, especially with their marketing and branding, is that they say things like, and you're going to notice this now I said it, because when you look on social media, you're going to see, I'm a real estate agent or realtor, buy, sell, lease with me, or commercial or whatever. And all you're doing is telling the public you have a license. There's nothing special about you, and they're not going to think about you when they have a problem. And the reason why, we've been able to do so well in any market, in a great market, in a crappy market, it doesn't matter, is because we've been able to stick out and say, hey, brand association, if somebody is distressed, call the short sale queen. If somebody needs help when they're in foreclosure, or they need help creatively to figure out how to get a deal done, call Nicole. She's the short sale queen. And I've been able to brand by being able to be a resource for the community and be consistent for the last 13 years. And it's not hard, guys. Like, not to add insult to injury to offend more people, but like, the bar is very low. The bar is very low of people being consistent, of people doing what they say they're going to do. And if you can do that, if you can consistently brand something for a long period of time, you're going to be able to stay in front of the people in your sphere of influence, and people are going to take you seriously. You're not just going to be another realtor, because now you're providing a solution to someone's problem. You don't need to be an expert to be able to do that. You just need to be able to brand yourself and provide those solutions so they know to call you when they have that problem.
I love that. I think that's important. Jesse just said anyone, literally anyone, can get a license, need to provide value, experience, advice, guidance. So true, because I mean, I think, what's the statistic of people that fail in their first 5 years? It's like 87% or something. It's crazy.
The majority.
Right, because the bar is low of getting in. Yeah. And so because it's so low, anyone can do it. And then they get in, and then they're like, oh, okay, what do I do now? But maybe not in the past couple of years, because they've okay, yeah, I'm a real estate agent, let me sell your house, and they can get their sphere of influence and kind of build a business that way. But like you said, in order to stay and have a sustainable business, you have to build a brand. So where would you start? Would you start on social media? Do you start with maybe how did you start? Things like that.
Yeah. So if I was to start all over again, like today, right now, I just got my license, I would figure out what my passion is, or I would know what my passion is, right? And I would figure out how to align that passion with my business. So if I was involved, and I always tell new realtors this, that if you're involved in a group, if you're involved in a community, easy example would be if you are a veteran, how do you get, if you're already plugged into an association or something, how can you specialize? Because only you know what their problems are, right? Maybe it's, hey, the relocation is really difficult when you are trying to relocate as a veteran with their families or whatever, and make those relationships. But I would leverage my relationships over buying leads, over anything, because those are the most powerful referrals. Just for the audience that doesn't know me, guys, we're 100% referral. So our entire business is built off relationships. So if I had to go all over again, I would not waste money on Zillow leads. I would not waste my time buying leads. I would chase relationships. I would get into as many communities or something that I'm already involved in and capitalize on that and provide value. Same to that comment that just said, how can you provide value? The other thing too, as a new agent, it's very easy to be insecure because you don't have a lot of experience. So go get some experience, join a team, partner up. There, like that is the experience is the best teacher. So if you can learn from somebody, don't be so short-sighted and saying, I'm not going to give you my split. No, say thank you that you're willing to teach me, because
Mm,
otherwise you're going to have to learn on your own. You may not get the opportunity, and if you do, you're going to spend a lot of time and money, and you might put that seller or buyer in a worse, position. I personally think, every realtor should be an apprentice at some point, and that should be required, because that's going to teach you more
mm,
about the process. And trust me, if I could go back, I wish I could have learned from someone to streamline my education. I would be 10 times further than I am now. But I'm stubborn, and I was ignorant, and I just had to go get deals. So that's how
yeah.
I learned. And especially with my niche, with short sales, nobody understands it. So I had to figure all of that out on my own. And now we have mentorship. We wrote the book on it, and that's why we're so passionate about education, because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to learn, and it's defeating, and it's exhausting. And really, if you're willing to put in the work, like there's so many opportunities.
Hmm. I like this. I think it's really, I love it. Like when you get into the business, find a mentor is kind of what I'm hearing from you, and find someone who's going to help you and to get the ropes. I think it's human nature to not want someone to tell you what to do and how to do it and things like that, right? But it will expedite the learning curve, right? Like it'll make it a little bit smaller, and you can go and do business quicker, and you'll be a lot more successful quicker is kind of what I picked up from that. So I like that. Also, relationships and how important that is in real estate. Real estate is relationships. And that is the more relationships that you can have, the better you'll be in the business. And that's why we always say, like, when people prospect geo leads, for example, that is like the perfect tool
Mm-hmm.
to go and build new relationships in your neighborhood. You can go and create a boundary over a neighborhood, get all the leads for them, and then all you have to do is call and be like, hey, how can I help you? And that's how you become the neighborhood expert. You can go and tell people about the market, bring market reports or market information, and talk to people about that way, and just build relationships. Because I think even people that like move and are starting in a brand new area where they don't have a huge sphere of influence in the area, that's a great way to start building relationships. I think that is one of the best strategies, is to focus on that. So I like that.
I love even what you just said, if no one else picked up on it, that in all of those examples, you didn't once ask for business. In all of those examples, you didn't once say, hey guys, go knock on the door and tell them you're a realtor. No,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't. You said lead with value. Go give them market updates. Go ask them what they need. Go talk to them and see what problems that you can fix. Can you send them referrals? Hey, do you need a handyman or whatever? And most people are not willing to invest that way with their time and lead with value first. They want to ask for business, but that's not how it works. Like,
Right.
you can't just sit here and say, hey, I'm a realtor, let me know with your referrals. No, you have to, it's the exchange, right? Like, I'm going to help you, and in return you're going to come back to me, because I'm going to be your person, your go-to person. And that's truly how I built my brand. I never asked for a referral my entire career in 13 years, and I get over 100 a month. Like, I never asked for a referral. I was just that person that they knew, that there was no agenda. I've always had an abundant mindset. Money has always come, even if it wasn't immediate, it always came. That person I met 15 years ago, when, before I got in, I helped them, and now they're giving me all these leads. That's how it
Right.
works.
Do you have any sort of like follow-up sequence with your sphere of influence or your relationships, or like what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So not anymore, because we're the brand is so
Right.
big, but when I was building it,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I would just check in. Remember, the goal is to get your phone to ring, right? So if
Hmm.
it's not ringing, then you need to lock yourself in your office and figure out who you need to talk to get it to ring. And so the months that, it was really slow, I would just start calling. Hey, how's it going? I haven't heard from you about. How's business? People
Yeah.
love talking about themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah, so business is like this. Well, is there anything I can help with? And then I started going to their office and training them, like, hey, this is how you talk to these homeowners. I work with a lot of investors that do direct marketing. So instead of competing with them, I collaborate. Hey, let me teach you how to have better conversations. And in return, you're going to send me better leads,
Hmm.
because now these distressed sellers, You'll know how to get them, build rapport and get them on board, and you're going to send them over to me. So that's what I would do. I mean, as far as follow up, and then I have, a database that we do drips. Our CRM that we use is Infusionsoft, which is Keep, and it's set up that when someone comes to the website, they'll get an email, and so that's super important too, because if you can't, in the beginning, do it manually. Use your Google Calendar. Like that's what I did before I, you know, could hire someone to build out a system. It's not hard. And I think a lot of real estate agents get caught up in the website and the business cards and the pretty headshot. Like, no, get on the phones, like go talk to people, get out of your office and go talk to people, get off social media, because that's where you're going to build those relationships.
I like it. I think that's easy to kind of get caught up in the shiny things of real estate and the things that might cost a lot of money and stuff. But the thing is like building a relationship is free. Like going out and knocking on a door and asking somebody how you can help them or provide value in whatever way you do is completely free. And that is what's going to build your business, which is kind of crazy, right?
100%.
That is the most simple, like we're talking about basics here. And that is what builds your business, especially with questions about the market and things of going up and down and what's going to happen in the future. This is how you build consistency in your business and how you'll have consistent listings. You'll never have to wonder where your next commission check's coming from because you're building your business off of relationships, right?
It blows my mind, to your point, it blows my mind the agents that won't take in the beginning, that won't take leases, that won't take whatever. I'm like, why? Those are literally free relationships that you now get the experience of just going through a transaction, and then you can get to know them. Guess what? They're going to turn into buyers. Guess what? They know, they have family members, they have people that they know, and if you do an amazing job, you could get so many referrals. Like, don't get so caught up in the 3% of whatever. Like, don't get caught up in that in the beginning. Go do transactions, like go help people, because again, experience will be the best education that you'll ever have. And you never know who you're working with. You never know, if you go the extra mile and you do right by people, how many times that's going to come back tenfold. So think that way. Think of abundance instead of this limited mindset that a lot of realtors have, where they're like, oh, I don't, they already have that commission check. No, forget all of that, because you're trying to build an actual business, not per transaction.
I like that. Focusing on the right things. I think that's awesome. And what it sounds like as well is building relationships and stuff. It kind of makes what's happening in the market irrelevant in a way, like it's not, I mean, the market's important because you want to tell homeowners like what's happening with the market and things like that. But no matter what happens, like tomorrow, even if there was a market crash, which not saying that there will be or anything, I'm just saying if there was, right? Like you would have the relationships that, I mean, people are always going to need to buy and sell. That's what's great about real estate. It's always going to be a thing. And so, this way you don't have to depend on whether it's like super easy to buy a house or not, because you are bringing value and you are being a good real estate agent that people are going to want to hire you.
100%. And the more relationships, the more relationships you can leverage to be able to connect people, because that's all it is, right? Being valuable and saying, hey, I know this person that can help you. Like, I'll give you an example. I was training one of my agents, and we went to a listing appointment. I was kind of like walking her through how I do it and all of that. And I literally told the seller, because the biggest stress point for her is where's she going to go, right? Which I'm sure a lot of people get that objection. Like, I need to sell because the house is too big or whatever, but I have no idea where to go. I don't even know what movers to hire, whatever. And I told her, I said, hey, you don't have to worry about any of that. We have movers that will move you, will help relocate you, and it's a full service. So we're going to help you find a new place. And she immediately was like, let's go. Where do I sign? Right. But it's because we know all of these people and we have all of this set up that it's no big deal. It's one phone call. So that's the other thing too, is that the more relationships you have, the more you can leverage to be able to help add value to this company or this company, and sending referrals back and forth. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah. I think we just got a question, which you kind of were talking to, and I want to address this. So how do you create value, right? So something that you just mentioned is going above and beyond something that is not necessarily required of a real estate agent, right? You don't have to help this person relocate. That's not technically your job. But because
Right.
it's not, you're able to add that as a service. And like you said, she was so grateful and was able, like, so much stress was lifted off her shoulders because you were willing to add that value. So I'll let you also answer this question of how do you create value?
Yeah, so that was a great example. I mean, what is their problem? Right? Like we have another one that's in probate right now that my agent came to me and said, how do we get this lady on board? And I'm like, okay, well, she's got all this junk in the house. We have an estate sale company we work with. Call them, set it up. We'll take care of the estate sale. We'll make sure we'll coordinate the whole thing. Our transaction coordinator is going to end up being the one, doing it. We'll
Mhm.
we'll coordinate everything. She's so overwhelmed because her mother passed away and she just doesn't know where to even start. She doesn't even want to deal with it at all. And the house is in foreclosure, so she has equity. She could actually get something from it, but the idea of it, of the emotion of it, is so overwhelming. She'd rather make nothing. And
Wow.
so I just made it simple, right? I broke it down to where now the biggest problem in her mind that like was crippling her from making a decision is lifted. And now she's like, oh, okay, take care of it. And it's a no
Mhm.
brainer. She had 6 other agents that she had already met with, 6 other agents. And we were like, we'll do this, done. And she's like, here, I just signed it. I mean,
Wow.
something as simple as that to where creating value means solving their problems. Like, I'm going to say this again. If you can figure out how to solve problems, because that's all real estate is, you will be so valuable and
Mm.
you will make so much money and you will help so many people.
I love it. Just that simple question that you started with is what is their problem? Is that's pretty
Mhm.
simple, and then you go from there. Be a human, be of service, be a good agent, and the rest
Yeah.
will follow. That's awesome. Okay, well, we are running out of time here, but I just want to give you last word, last thing. If there's anything else that agents need to be looking out for, that final words, things like that.
Yeah. So I think that in the next 6 months to a year, we're going to have a completely different market. I
Yeah.
think it's going to look completely different with the amount of foreclosures that are coming. I mean, we've got 46% that it increased last month. The month before, 34%. So they're starting to really affect a lot of the markets as far as inventory,
Mm,
plus inventory increasing. Period. So I think that now is the time to really learn what that looks like for homeowners, and like again, how do you provide solutions to help them. If you guys want to learn about my niche, about pre-foreclosures and short sales, head to shortsellqueentv.com, and it's our YouTube channel, and we put a bunch of free education out there. So that's a great place to start if you want to learn that specific niche.
awesome. Yeah, also your YouTube channel has been really valuable. I've watched some of your videos as well, so they can just search short sale queen on YouTube, right? For any of
Yeah,
that stuff.
short sell queen, or just go to short sell queen tv and it'll take you right there.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. This has been an awesome 30 minutes. We had a lot of engagement. People are, I mean, obviously this is a hot topic. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for helping agents and to help them learn how to bring value in their business. So this has been awesome for everybody that is watching. Thanks so much for coming live and leaving comments. It's really great to see people just put in their comments of what they're thinking and stuff like that. Even people that like call us out. We love it. We love to talk and help agents as much as we can. So that's I think that's it for that. But we are here again next Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 3:30 Eastern, and we'll see you guys then.
Bye.